And I'd like to invite our last student speaker to the podium, Akosia Adobia Werdu.
Class of 2022. Honestly, I can't believe this day is here. I remember September 1st being like literally yesterday. I remember Eli asking me if I was new here and sitting next to Anya in advisory. I didn't think I'd be able to adjust into such a new community. I never wanted to move here in the first place, if I was to be honest. This school is different from my school in the Bronx, educationally and socially wise. But one thing for sure is that I've made tons of memories in this school, and I've grown to love this place. Too bad we have to leave. But Somers High School, or any high school, holds more opportunities for us, and it's our next step in all of our futures. Let's look back into our memories of 8th grade. First, starting with our first new kids meeting, the people that get it. When I was hesitant about liking this new school, I met 12 other kids in our grade that were also new. We got to know each other, and I loved that. I remember when half of the grade was like literally crying because the schedule was so confusing. We were all like, why do we have classes twice for one day? 'Cause call back. The first 8th grade social was such a special moment because I got to meet people in our grade that I didn't know. And plus free Oreos. The NaNoWriMo unit was one of our favorite memories because we were all like mini authors. Thanks Mrs. Reynolds and Mrs. Ballard for providing us with that unit. I remember everyone asking each other, how many words have you written? What's your goal? During that unit. Then we started the rover car project. It wasn't easy, that's for sure. But it was fun and we learned a lot through it. I wonder where my car is now. I remember when we started learning about World War I and I had such a hard time pronouncing the archduke's name. Was it Frankfurt? Yeah, I still struggle in that. Math was such a peaceful class for the most part, and Summer, Regina, Emily, Aiden, and I all believed that Mrs. Vasiopo was an amazing math teacher. For all of the people that wrote in the newspaper, we were all getting that bag. In other words, we were getting gift cards for displaying our amazing writing skills in the Tusker Tribune, and thanks Mr. Pappas for that. After winter break, we had one of our first trips after a long time of no trips, because COVID is a beast. We went to the high school, and it's actually so nice and big, and it has tons of classes and clubs. And honestly, I was amazed. After this graduation, when we start school in the fall, we will all be attending there. Remember when Mrs. Kirchhack called us to her office to create our schedules for 9th grade? I felt so grown that day. I remember stressing so much over the fossils unit in science. I'm pretty sure I had a grudge against frogs for a while after that unit. Just jokes. But it's all new information that we're learning every day, you know. I remember trying to ask Mr. Panetta for revisions on a test, and he suddenly pulls up carrots and hummus. One of my favorite moments that me and Svela share of him. I remember when I'd always go to Miss Coelho and cry about my grades. She was really my support teacher, and she always gave great advice. I remember when I'd always go to the gear shack constantly, and I know for a fact that it was not only me. Miss A and Mr. Jeffrey, you will definitely miss us. I remember when the seats changed for lunch, like in January, and yes, it seemed like ages ago. I remember when we had 2 high schoolers come to our science class to talk to us about SHS. It felt so close then, and now the time is actually here. I remember when we went to the auditorium for the science experiment showcase to learn about Newton's laws. I remember Kai sitting on that air hoverboard thing and he was like literally flying. I remember the fruit flies unit and I had no idea why we were even using flies in the first place. I was scared that the flies would get in my hair and kill me, but here I am, alive. I remember the first day of trimester 3, devastated that I didn't know anyone in my tech class, but then I met some nice people and we started the golf course project. I remember all those days in team times where Xavier, Izzy, Evelyn, Eli, Kate, Natalie, and I would play Uno. Those days were happily chaotic. I remember the time in Spanish where me and my friends Carolina and Liana made an amazing video about a Spanish rap. And yes, Jana's group, our video was better. I remember when we started the book club for the human rights project in ELA, and coming from someone that loves books, I honestly love the groups and the books and everything in that project. And I loved when we started the Human Rights Expo. Those classes were so chill, and I loved my specific group. Yes, I'm talking about you, Claire and Natalie. The actual expo was so amazing, and as well was everyone's project. I remember when we went to the baseball game, and how could I ever forget? Baseball was never really my thing, but I knew that the Renegades won, and that people were screaming their lungs out for a baseball. Oh, and that the food was really good. I remember when we had the book fairs, and everybody was running to the library to buy candy. Sigh. I remember all the track practices and track meets that we had outside of school. I was so scared to run in my Jordans, but Michaela motivated me to running them. Track was really chill though. We don't talk about the hurdles, Julia. I remember when some of us took the ELA math and science state tests. It seemed like it took hours, but the time went by really fast. I remember when we went to the last 8th grade social, once again free ice cream, and the DJ was valid. And my last memory that I have, that was probably my most important memory, was the day where the mask mandate was lifted, because it honestly changed all of our lives. Because 2019 to 2021, 2022, ever since we went into the pandemic, it was really hard for all of us. And when I heard that the masks were being taken off, it's like our lives were coming back to normal again. There's probably a lot of more memories, but if you know me, you know I have a terrible memory. Overall, it was a good roller coaster around 8th grade, and I loved it. Thanks SMS students, staff, parents for all shaping our last year in this 8th grade year. Yes, we ate and left no crumbs. Congrats, class of 2022.
I don't think there's a higher compliment than when an 8th grader calls you valid, right? That's pretty impressive.